Hello everyone! Let's take a look at another space MMO called Starbase from Finnish developer Frozenbyte. Early access is planned to be released this year on Steam, with full release following 1-2 years later. So another long wait ahead of us. If you want to read more, check links in the description below. Devs have no plans to support VR or release Starbase on consoles for now. But that might change, especially because the game engine supports consoles. At the moment, game is played with keyboard and mouse, but will support HOTAS, rudder pedals, track IR and other peripherals, which is cool. So what is Starbase? Description says that it is a hybrid voxel vertex-based space MMO with a fully destructible and infinitely expanding universe, with a focus on building and designing spaceships and stations, exploration, resource gathering, crafting, trading and combat, of course combat. Alternatively, the game features a sandbox mode, where players can explore the game alone or with selected friends in their own universe. Sandbox is offline universe with no progression. There are plans to add tutorial and scenarios to the sandbox mode, but probably not in early access launch. Starbase is developed with Frozenbyte's internal game engine that is custom built for conquering space, so the game uses own engine, which is always a good sign for ambitious projects and shows how serious developers are. Starbase has been in secret development for 5 years without restraints, and the development will continue until the game's bold vision is achieved. The modern engine has been built specifically with Starbase in mind, and the engine's architecture is designed to handle simulation, damage, building, player amounts, and the ever-growing universe. To me, it's a little bit weird that the game was developed for 5 years in secret. My opinion is that nowadays you can't make a successful MMO without direct interaction with players from early development stages. But maybe Frozenbyte's vision is so great that they are sure that players will love it no matter what game design path they will follow. Starbase is a true, seamless MMO and all players are in the universe at the same time. Some things are handled by servers, but they're mostly using peer-to-peer technology. So it's a combination of both. Sounds familiar? Kinda reminds me of Elite backend. I'm really not a fan of using peer-to-peer, but that explains why Starbase will be buy to play. So one-time purchase and then play as much as you like. And server upkeep will not require insane amount of money every month because of that. How they will support development for coming years is not yet revealed. But there will be no loot boxes or any pay-to-win or other shitty models. Devs reserve option for small cosmetic stuff. But even in that case, best cosmetics are obtained by playing. As for server capacity, they don't currently know what the max player count is because they haven't actually encountered any limits in their tests. The number of players on a server is in theory unlimited, yeah right. Most of the data is transferred using, like I said, peer-to-peer connection, however the amount of players you'll be able to see has some limits, so here we go. Obviously, there will be limits. Anyone who is promising unlimited amount of players are just lying or incompetent. Currently they've capped the visible players to 100 and have tested that with 70 plus developer players in the same place last year. They have some instancing going on, but the tech is constantly evolving and it's still difficult to say what the hard limits will be. Pre-alpha and alpha tests with real players will give developers a lot more data to work with. So right now the amount of players visible to you is 100 and any additional players will create their own dynamic instance. It's not instancing in traditional sense of combat, rather than just showing nearest 100 players, kind of visibility bubbles. They are still testing these amounts internally and optimizing the experience, so it's hard to say what the maximum number of players in the same instance will end up being. The goal is to enable as many as possible, obviously. The player interaction, physics, etc. is handled with sophisticated peer-to-peer. Persistence and some security elements are handled on servers. Each player experiences himself without lag. Other players are seen based on connection between the players, which is peer-to-peer. I'll be surprised if, with fast-paced action combat that Starbase has, we will see even 100-player fights without any issue. There is an insurance if ship is destroyed, but that will cost you. Players can respawn at saved insurance terminals. When logging off, ship stays in-game. Also, ships can be stored at stations for safekeeping. There will be safe zones and logging off there might despawn your ship immediately. Players can steal a whole ship if it's not in a safe zone. Bigger ship in the game would benefit from a crew of 20-40 players. I want to see how that will work with their dynamic instancing. And players can buy pre-made ships, so don't have time to build your own ship, get the pre-made one. There are around 60 devs working on Starbase, which includes 14 designers, 19 programmers, 6 Q&A and other devs. Between different alpha stages there might be partial vibes. The game is already on Steam, so go and add it to your wishlist if you are interested. The game can be played from first and third person in character view, and first person when piloting a ship. External camera might be added later. Multiple characters are possible, and characters do have limb detachment and damage. Death consequences are not decided yet, but won't be harsh. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, as if players don't value their life, it devalues overall experience and risks in my opinion. Characters can be upgraded, which makes sense because you play as a robot. The focus of the game is not the survival elements, hence players have unlimited movement in space, etc. and do not need to refuel. Survival-oriented gameplay is not Frozenbyte's focus. There is combat shield and will be melee sci-fi weapons. Players have mag boots which can be turned on or off. Ships don't make gravity and players can walk on walls and other surfaces. Guns work as you would expect. Projectiles are not affected by space drag, and there is no drop-off in space. Guns do not function as propulsion as of the movement. There is friendly fire. No AI is planned for early access. Players can form their own groups and factions can be sub-factions, in example vassals to each other. There will be NPC vendors and auction houses. The starting environment is a sector around a single planet, with a really large playable area. The asteroid ring is currently 2000 km wide, and asteroids are all saved and they deplete. You can move asteroids and even haul entire asteroid to the station and cache it as a full asteroid. All asteroids contain ore, you just need to crack it open to see which. There are faster ways to do this also, like explosives. Asteroid outer rock is used mostly to build stations, while core is used for ships, devices, etc. depending on what core is. And core is worth 10 to 100 times more than the rock parts. Currently there are like 20 mineable materials in game. The planet is about 6000 kilometers in radius. You'll be able to travel to other sectors later, and starting areas are safe. You can trade in the starting areas and even build some. Not sure how far the area extends, but mining might be slightly at your own risk. Currently there are 5 mega stations and about 20 smaller. Also, main plan is to utilize players to create more stations. There might be some limitations, but 5x5x5 km size station should have no problems. And things left drifting in space may despawn after time, depending on circumstances. The world is big. You can technically fly from one end to the other around the planet, but from one planet to another is a little bit too far, so it seems no seamless world after all. But we all know that devs have so many tricks in their bag to fool players, so maybe it will look seamless. Render distance currently is 20 km for stations, 5 km for ships. Devs are in process of increasing station distance, but 5 km for ships means already a tiny dot. Regarding ship movement, and this is a funny one, done for gameplay reasons, space has drag, so stuff slows down unless it's being pushed by something constantly. But other than that, the thruster positions and so on move them like you would expect. So in Starbase we have some weird combination of atmospheric flight in 0G, which basically means that movement in space will always require fuel. As soon as you stop your thrusters, space drag kicks in and slows your ship. And this drag is a force applied to reduce movement and depends on the mass, not ship's shape. Currently devs are experimenting with 150 meters per second as maximum speed, so surely there will be max speed limitations, and because of space drag, no normal flight between planets is even possible. Continuous fuel consumption will just kill it. There will definitely be fast travel ways once the exploration and colonization really kicks in, also most likely warp gates. Ships won't be pressurized. Devs have developed some checks to check for airtightness of the ship, but haven't found any uses for that so far. This also is kinda funny, and if this doesn't affect performance, why not have it? So no plans for it now, but it's a possibility in future. Generators and weapons produce heat that has to be counteracted by coolant. Bigger ships can carry smaller ones. Ships can be saved to local hard drive into blueprint files and later sold to other players, which is cool. There will be automated mining drones. They're also working on fully automated factory stuff, so loads of convenience. Also, players should be able to install most, if not all, crafting related things inside their ship. Players can shoot a hole in a cargo container and see or take its contents. Currently there are flak autocannons, rail cannons, laser cannons. Missile weaponry is in development, like swarm missiles, charge missiles, torpedoes. So there are projectiles, explosives, lasers, plasma, EMP, railgun, heat and corrosive. And ramming. Ramming is also a thing in Starbase, so ships can be used as weapons too. Greetings to all griefers. Anything that moves or does something in the game can be operated with the programming language YOLOL, and it's run client side, but of course. The language is very Lua-like, but with GoTo. Players can steal code from other players' ships. It's interesting that more and more games include some kind of in-game scripting now. So as you see, while Starbase and Dual Universe share some similarities, though they'll be completely different experiences. Let me know in comment section which one is your cup of tea. Sadly, I must say that I'm not that much interested in Starbase. I dislike art style that they went with. It looks silly and my brain just can't properly process that, but this is my problem and has nothing to do with actual gameplay. But that space drag that was chosen for gameplay reasons is weird. Well, I guess as long as everyone plays by same rules, it's fine, as we all had nerfed Yo in Elite and still enjoyed the game to some degree. Peer-to-peer connection is what I really do not like, but this also is understandable. Without peer-to-peer they would not be able to make Starbase buy to play, but would be forced to go dual universe path with pay to play. Also, in Starbase, one of the most important parts will be conflict between Empire and Kingdom. So if you are more into fast-paced, action-oriented gameplay, where death is not that of a big deal, and same time with tons of possibilities to express your creativity, then check out Starbase. Like, dislike, subscribe, and please leave a comment and tell me what do you think about Starbase, or maybe there's another MMO that is worth checking out. See you soon.